Do you feel like you took a wrong turn in life? Welcome to Morrow's Motivations, where we talk with people who educate, motivate, and captivate you with inspirational stories. Here's Dontrell.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Morrow's Motivational Podcast. I am excited today because I get the opportunity to introduce all of you to a very good friend of mine, and also I like to call a very, very awesome professional mentor who has been able to, in the last, I'd probably say the last decade, honestly, be able to go from one point of his life where he is building people and helping in his community to now being a professor who is a doctor. I should call him.
You don't have to call me doctor.
My personal doctor over there. I want to introduce everyone to Dr. Bronson Herrera. And I won't call you doctor. I'll just call you Herrera if that makes you feel better.
That is fine. That's fine.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So I teach at Northwest Missouri State University.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend's homecoming. And so I'm wearing my T-shirt here. I don't look as professional as I usually do when I'm on campus, but it's homecoming weekend. So a lot of football and parades and partying. And so I'm trying to fit in.
You know what? I don't think it takes that much for you to even have to try. I mean, my goodness, you look like a student yourself.
I know.
Just saying.
They get confused all the time. I'll talk to other professors and they'll be like, "Are you one of my students?" I'm like, "No, I'm a faculty member." They're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you were a professor."
Well, like, full disclaimer, since we've known each other for, my gosh, I think it's almost been 8 years now.
Maybe even longer. I think we met in 2010, right? Or 2009, maybe even.
That's right. Oh my gosh, it's been 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Very, very early in life's education at that point that we met.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, share how old you are.
So I'm 29 years old.
29. Don't look a day over 20.
No, I don't. It doesn't. I went through graduate school quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I was very efficient in graduate school, but I had a child and another one on the way, and I was married, and I felt like I needed to hustle, and so I got through grad school at a fairly young age, and was very blessed to get a job. So right out of grad school, which I know is a struggle for some, and so. No complaints.
No, that's absolutely amazing. That's one of the reasons I wanted to really bring you onto this podcast, because I feel like you have a message that will resonate with all of us that really go through difficult times in life and challenging times. And there comes a point where you have to, make a decision of whether you're going to keep going forward and moving forward with something, even when it seems daunting or in some cases impossible, or if you're going to just turn around and say, well, I gave it a try and I'm going to leave it at that. And so your personal story, I love, because to achieve a doctorate degree by age, 28 is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I wanted to just go through a few questions that, I feel will let you be able to kind of like convey your story to everyone. But I would like to start first with just having you share a little bit about yourself, like about where you come from and kind of what like some of your early motivations were into being into your current field.
All right, I can do that. So I grew up in a small town, West Boylston, Massachusetts. And my dad was military until I was 6 years old, where he was hurt and had to leave the military. And so we moved up to Massachusetts at that time. Mm-hmm. That was a time of, financial stress for my family. Mm-hmm. My dad had to leave the military, and there are some benefits with that, but still a lot of struggles. And my dad barely made it through high school. He jokes that his high school teachers made a deal that, fine, if you go into the military, we'll let you graduate, because we need you out of this town, right? And, which, it was a terrible thing to tell anybody, but he really struggled with school, and my mom had a little bit of college under her belt, but met my dad while he was in the military and ended up getting married and leaving school. And so for my dad particularly, but also for both of them, school was always seen as an avenue to learn, to develop yourself, and to be able to have opportunities and to be able to network with the right crowds to be able to move your life forward. And so to them, it was really important, which had a huge influence on me growing up. My dad always was proud of the fact that I was going to college, and he would tell people like no one else is doing it, but it mattered so much to him that his kids were going to school. And to my mom as well. That had a profound effect on me in my early years growing up. Then I went to BYU, Idaho for 4 years. I met a couple of mentors there. When one of my mentors, Matt Miles, told me I should go to graduate school, I actually was trying to pursue education through a different avenue, but came up short and didn't get a job that I was hoping to get right out of undergrad. And he said, you should go to grad school, and mentored me to get through there. And I went to the University of Kansas. Got my master's and PhD there in political science. So.
Nice. Bringing up the mentoring aspect, that's something that I feel is a big component to what helps people to realize their full potential and to be given the opportunity to learn from and grow and, the guidance of someone. So when you were going through your early stages of college, because I know when we first met, I don't think you had attended college at that point when we first just met together in our nice little social circle.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, did you see yourself growing up to accomplish this big thing that you've done?
Well, so no. But so my mom always wanted me to be a psychologist. I like listening to people. I was like one of those kids where other people would tell me things, kind of their struggles, and I always like to listen. And I would take that home and I would discuss that with my parents. This friend is having this trouble. This friend's having this trouble. This is what I told them. My mom always thought you would make a great psychologist. Said if you go into psychology, you'll have to get a master's. And so when I started off, that was my mentality. Okay, I'll go into psychology, be a clinical psychologist, and I'll get my master's degree because that's a requirement. So I did know grad school was possibly in my future. But when I got to school, I kept being pulled in the direction of politics. I was always interested in history and politics, and that increased while I was in school. And to my mom's dismay, I decided to go into politics, to political science, and which was hard because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with that. But I saw so much tension in the world around me. I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up with a dad who's a Democrat and a mom who's a Republican.
Oh, wow. That's another story.
I don't know if you didn't know that. Yeah. So election times were a little stressful sometimes, and I just wondered why we couldn't get along, why we can't talk to each other, love each other, despite that we disagree with each other in heated ways on deep issues, to be sure. But why can't we get along with each other? And so I was interested in politics, and I tried to learn more and more about what was dividing us in politics. And now I understand why it's so divisive. But that kind of got me into political science. And then my mentor, Matt Miles, told me I should go to grad school. I was one of those students who did the readings. He was like, wow, you talk in class, he does the readings.
He actually saw that you were engaging in the subject and wanting to learn.
Yeah, I was interested why things were the way they were. And
I definitely want to talk about your mentor and that influence that you had. But I just want to say, because I know when we met, I never knew that was a focus or a topic. But what a good precursor to have at home, because you can probably navigate this so well with seeing different opposing political views in the world. And you're like, oh, this is nothing. You should have saw mom and dad on election night if you think it's bad.
Yeah, there were some tense conversations sometimes. I remember 2008. I remember 2012. A lot of debate.
So where you were during those big times, that's your big,
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my dad talking about voting for Barack Obama and my mom talking about voting for McCain or Romney.
I know that.
And they talked, they debated, and they talked. Not a lot. I would say both my parents care about politics. They care about the world around them, but they don't love politics like I love politics. My family always loved to talk about what's going on in the world around us. We did at the dinner table and things. So I don't want to paint the picture like they were fighting over politics all the time, but it definitely came up. It definitely came up.
I just mean that you're probably, it's giving you some good inspiration because you saw how they obviously are a married couple and they were able to work through that by just having civil conversations and discussion, which I think we all are capable of definitely doing in the country. And I hope that we'll continue to see more of your example and even your parents' example out there in the world.
Yeah.
But as far as when you were in school, now you mentioned your mentor who helped you. What were some of the top ways that you felt he has prepared you for now the role that you play in education?
That's a great question. So I have to say two things. Or talk about two people, because my mentor is Matt Miles. He's in my field. I'm still in contact with him. I was emailing with them just 2 days ago. But there was also another professor that had a profound impact on me because I did a minor in education. And he did educational psychology. And he really opened up my mind to say that you need to be intrinsically motivated, which means inherently motivated to love education. You have to love education. You have to be educated. It's a state of being, right? It's not an amount of knowledge obtained. He really opened up my mind as well to look, I need to learn how to love learning because that opens up avenues. So he had a profound impact. His name was Chris Wilson in the education department at Brigham Young University, Idaho. And then Matt Miles helped me tremendously by number one, letting me know that I was noticed and that the work I was putting into my classes was noticed and that it was unique, that he felt like I did love learning and that would qualify me for graduate school. And graduate school is so much reading, as you know, so much reading, so much writing that if you don't like to learn, there's no possible way to get through that. But he also helped me with he wrote my letter of recommendation going into graduate school. He's an alumni from the University of Kansas, so he knew who to talk to. When I went to the University of Kansas, I went fully funded with a scholarship on top of that. And I attribute that a lot to him sticking up for me, saying this is the type of student that Bronson is, and he will be in your program and he will be successful. And that had high expectations when I got in, I would say. From my professors, but it also meant that they were willing to invest in me. So that support from Matt was amazing. We're still talking about doing research together because I'm a new faculty member now, so I have to do this research. And he's mentoring me now in that, helping me to navigate how to do this research. So
I can only imagine how proud he would be of you to see that you really took, what you learned to heart and wanted to make a difference and gave that part of yourself.
Well, I have to tell you a story about that. So when I got the job at Northwest Missouri State University, I started getting emails from my old faculty, from the professors that I had in my undergrad. Congratulations, Dr. Herrera. Congratulations, you got your PhD. We hear you got a job. That's so incredible. We know how hard it is to get a job in this environment in academia, especially to get a tenure track job. It's really hard. Education is moving towards this philosophy of hiring adjuncts that I find harmful to education, but we won't go there. But to get the job, and I was like, how do all these professors know that I got a job? Well, Matt had a faculty meeting, and Matt was telling them our student got a job. He graduated. So yes, he is very proud of me, and I know he brags about me, and so it's nice to know.
That is. Now, as far as I guess you talk about grad school, and I know, from my experience, it is very rigorous, and especially you being, a young married couple, you and your wife, and having 2 children. How did you get through those challenges to make sure that you got all of your academic responsibilities done?
That's, a long story, but I'll be brief. So I had my son finals week of my first semester in grad school, my oldest child. And I wanted to be a father. I didn't want to put off having my family, and neither did my wife. And so we decided to do that. And we knew it would be terribly hard for me to be in grad school and to have a child, but we didn't know how hard. And I'm grateful we did it, because if we knew how hard it would have been, I'm afraid we wouldn't have done it. But I think having my children born during that time helped to motivate me. Because I knew I'm not playing around here. I have to get my degree and I have to get a job. I can't just sit in grad school. Where people get trapped is while doing their dissertation. They'll power through the classes the first 2 years of a PhD program, and they'll sit there and try to make the perfect dissertation. I had two big advisors at KU, two big mentors. One, Mark Joslin, who as soon as I came in, he was the grad director. As soon as I came in, it's like, look, we're not going to play around. We're going to get you through as fast as we can. I know that you have a family. My wife was pregnant already when we got to KU. We're going to push it. We're going to push you to get through all your classes. You're not going to take any extra classes. Is something that students do. I'll take these extra classes, which would be nice, but you're wasting time. Once you get your PhD, you should be able to know how to learn on your own. So you don't have to take all these additional classes. You get through school, take the classes you have to take, you do well, you learn how to learn, and then you write your dissertation. The best dissertation is a done dissertation. My other mentor and my department chair, as well as the chair of my dissertation committee, is Donald Hader Merkel. And that's what he would always say to me. The best dissertation is a done dissertation. So I'm not going to lie and say that my dissertation was the best dissertation coming out of KU in 2018, but it was a done dissertation and I got a job. So both of them pushed me. And Mark and Hader Merkel, Don, both told me that to jump on the job market my third year, which is unheard of.
Right.
And people are like, why are you other faculty member? Why are you wasting your time applying for a job right now? You're not going to get a job. Focus on your dissertation, focus on your family a little bit more. And they were concerned about me. And I appreciated the concern from these other faculty members. They were seriously concerned about me. I remember when I told them that I got the job, a tenure track job, and they were shocked. But, it was Dr. Hader Merkel, Dr. Joslin telling me and pushing me to do it. When I got the job, they were shocked too. They were telling me it's possible. I think they were a little shocked, and Hader Merkel even told me, he's like, because I got through my master's, and it was a dual master's PhD program. I got through in 3 years, and which is unheard of. It's the fastest anyone has done it out of KU.
Wow.
Hader Merkel told me, we thought we could do this with someone, but they weren't supposed to have kids, and they weren't supposed to. It wasn't supposed to be you, but I wanted it. I wanted it, and so it was me. And I had my daughter during that time too.
Wow.
So right after I finished my comprehensive exams, I told my advisor, Dr. Hader Merkel, my wife's pregnant. And he swore. He was like, crap, because he was like, and then he felt bad. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. No, that's a wonderful thing. But he's thinking, oh, you're going to have another one? We're trying to get you through this program. And my wife being the tremendous person that she is, like they were nice. I stayed in my office at KU reading and writing late into the night, early in the mornings. She was alone a lot, but we both knew that if we could make the sacrifice up front, that there'd be payoff at the end of that. And there has been. There has been. So,
dude, that's awesome. How did you feel when you realized that you were going to win that? That you were going to achieve that and that you did? How did that, you said everybody felt so shocked when you told them the news. How did you feel?
So I was shocked too. I'm a religious person. I remember doing a lot of praying because I didn't feel like I was adequate. I'm a first generation college student. The first in my family ever on my dad's side to get a degree. First one in my immediate family. My older brother has since come back to school and got his degree too. And now then my younger sister went to school and got her degree. I was the first one. I got my PhD the same year my brother got his bachelor's because he came back. And so there was a lot of self-doubt, a lot of my goodness, I'm skipping a little bit. Like my grandpa never got a high school diploma. My dad barely got a high school diploma. So I thought if I could just get an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, then I'm moving the family forward. But then to get a master's and then get a PhD. So I did a lot of praying because I had a lot of self-doubts. I remember thinking, or feeling like the Lord was on my side too, and that he wanted these things for me. That if I was willing to allow him put me in this situation, because I do feel like he put me in the path of Matt, in the path of Jocelyn, Hayden, Markel. I feel like he knows the beginning from the end. And there were some times where I was like, I thought the Lord was crazy for thinking someone as broken and as inept as me could do something like this. And I had those fears and those self-doubts, but I always felt like if you push and you do these things, that you'll be successful. And I had great parents who told me that my dad, still cries whenever he talks about me getting my PhD. It's just so mind-boggling to him, and he's so proud. And so I was shocked too. I was shocked when I got the call, and they said, I remember I was watching Dr. Jocelyn teach a class. I was his TA. And so we sit in the front of the class and we listen to the lecture, so that way when it's our turn to teach the lecture or to give the assignments, we can build off of what he's been teaching. So he had just lit class out, and I get this phone call. So I run to the very top of the lecture hall, and I'm trying to, because students are noisy as they leave, and I'm on the phone, and Jocelyn's looking at me because it's not like me to grab my phone, right after lecture. Usually we get together and we talk about how lecture went and talk about the students, and I'm up there in the corner talking, and I raise my hands up, give him the thumbs up, and he was just so ecstatic. His face, he was just like, because he knew I got the job. And and people kept telling him too. So the other faculty were frustrated with Jocelyn and Hayden Markel for pushing me. They felt like it was harmful to me, to my family. He thought that it was harmful to the education that is needed to prepare me to get the job. And they said, no, he could learn, he can teach himself so much. And we can teach him too, but he can teach himself so much. Let him go for it. And so I think Jocelyn and Hayden Markel felt vindicated as well, that I got the job in 3 years. I did what they said I could do, even though I think they doubted it and I doubted it, but we're telling everyone else it's possible. And it was possible. And we did it.
That is amazing. Herrera, I love that. I love the fact that you said really how your faith in the Lord really helped you during, I'm sure, some of those somber moments when, it was just you and your family and trying to figure out how to balance that work-life balance and that work-school balance.
Yeah.
One thing that I found to be the common denominator with a lot of challenging moments like that is how a person looks at their self. And you mentioned self-doubt. And I think that is a very big thing. I know personally I've experienced challenges with that and how I see myself when I was going through my graduate program and, just in life circumstances that come up. But one thing I wanted to have you do is I want you to kind of just take a moment and think and share what I like to call your motivational moment and give you this spotlight to answer this question that I hope and I believe will help others. How do you define success? How do you measure that? And what advice would you give to others about how you personally define this success, how they can attribute that into their life?
I really define success as getting up and doing, when the anxiety comes or the self-doubt comes. The thing with anxiety or self-doubt or depression and these things is that it's debilitating. It makes you not want to act. And so where success comes in is in the face of that. And sometimes people need counseling, medication to help with that because these things can be really, they're real things. But doing whatever you need to do to, in the face of that, to continue to move forward and to try to take opportunities. It's in the trying to take opportunities, making opportunities for yourself and trying to take those opportunities. That's what success is. It's not the end. It's not the job at the end. I would have been successful had I not gotten the job in 2018. I would have been successful. I still would have been learning, developing, still would have been pursuing opportunity. I think it's in the pursuit that we find success, not in the end, the product. That's just the champagne that comes after success. Mm-hmm. But it's really in the drive. I see a lot of these motivational videos. Have you seen these on YouTube?
I don't. I see a lot of them out there. But what do you mean?
I see a lot of these out here. I see people really like these type of things, like these motivational speakers, motivational movie. I feel like there's a movement of this. Mm-hmm. And I think it's partly because we all realize that it's in the fight, it's in the pursuit that really we're defined as successful or not successful. And people love stories like that. Mm-hmm. It's why we love Rocky Balboa or Disney movies even. Marvel movies, mm-hmm. Lord of the Rings. It's the journey, and we're all trying to figure out how to be successful in the journey. I mean, it's in that portion of it that you grow and develop, and it's that growth and development that makes you successful.
Definitely agree, brother. Definitely agree. And, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today. I know being the weekend it is up there, the homecoming weekend, you got a lot of things to do on this little brief recess that you have before.
Yeah. It's fun. This is important stuff.
Yeah.
It's important work that you're trying to do to uplift people. And I think people are hungry for it. People are hungry for mentorship. People are hungry to be successful in their journeys. And so I see what you're doing as a wonderful opportunity for people to get inspired and to move forward on their own paths.
Thank you.
So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. And again, thank you. I'm sure you are a bright light to your students there at the university, and that I know that they're lucky to have you personally. And thank you all for listening out there today. I hope that you were able to get some good insight from these wonderful topics that we talked about on mentoring and the power that comes with being a force for good out there in our communities. I hope you will join me again in another episode and have a wonderful day. Till next time, please be safe and keep being motivated.
Thank you for listening to Morrow's Motivation. If you like this podcast, please tell a friend.
Wow, something is really different on the growler. Really different on the growler. Really different on the growler. Really different on the